A taste of honey, tasting much sweeter than wine. I dream of your first kiss, and then I feel upon my lips again a taste of honey, tasting much sweeter than wine. And I will return, yes, I will return. I'll come back for the honey and you.
Backbeat, the original cast recording featuring Andrew Knott and Daniel Healy, who are right here live on Breakfast with the Beatles, where you're broadcasting from the Ahmanson Theater. And it looks like Daniel has his guitar on, and they're going to do a little bit for us. Set this up, guys. Tell us where this comes in the stage performance.
Well, this comes kind of a bit later on in the play. I don't want to give too much away for people that are going to come and see it, but I think, you know, people kind of know the story, and that he became fractious within the group when they was in Hamburg, and Stu being John's close friend, and John desperate for Stu to be in the band. Stu wanted to concentrate more on his art. Consequently, what the fallout from that was that Lennon and McCartney kind of grew slightly apart from each other. But this scene in the play is when you see them start to come back together, and John starts to realise that Paul's genius, and that this is what's going to make the Beatles go forward, this relationship.
Cool. Go ahead, guys. Lay it on us.
Well, play it again then.
What?
The crap you were playing just now, play it again.
We just said it was crap.
It is crap. Working it together, it might have a chance of stopping being crap. Come on, sit down.
Please love me too, just like I love you.
Right, hold on.
What?
That's just rhymes, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well noticed, John. Songs actually do rhyme.
Please take a pew. I hope you don't spew. I've made you some stew.
Banging on about stew again.
This fella in the song, how much does he love his girl?
I don't know, a bit.
A bit. I love you a bit and you love me a bit. They're on fire, these two, aren't they?
I'm fine then, maybe he loves her a lot.
If he loves her a lot, then why is he whining?
Well, he's not whining.
Please love me, please love me. What is he, a poodle?
He's just a bloke, he's an ordinary bloke.
Well, if he's an ordinary bloke, he must be trying to shag her. Hey, and that's why he's singing a song. You don't get a shag from whining.
Well, fine then, what do you suggest?
Put in another love.
Another love? We got loads of loves.
Well, this one at the start instead of the please.
Oh,
no,
sweet,
listen,
sweet,
and then put the please at the end, but really draw it out though, like please, like he's gasping for a shag.
Do you know, I was trying to write something romantic.
So am I. Go on, give it a go.
Love me too. Love me do.
Yeah, that's good. Do's good.
You know I love you. I'll always be true.
Is this it? No, what? So please.
Please.
That's it.
Love me do.
That's it.
Oh, love me do.
It's better, isn't it?
It's not bad, that, you know.
Bad.
Doing Love Me Do for your Sunday morning. That's a great scene, and I have to commend you both, because that's just full of swear words when you see it. You did a nice job almost editing yourself.
Yeah. For sitting. And so I run all of our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, LinkedIn, whatever they invent next, all that stuff. And I've been here for about a year now, and we've been kind of like evolving this model of how we engage people on social media and like what we can really do to make it fun. So you guys are all the experts, which is why I invited you here today. And I'm really excited afterwards to kind of hear your feedback about the event, like what you guys think. So I'll be sending a follow-up survey. But basically, the event is kind of just a way for you guys to get to know a little bit more insider info about the show, about the themes of the show, all of that stuff. And then we let you guys watch the show, and then afterwards your credentials that you guys have will get you backstage so you can meet the cast and do autographs and photos, anything that you want after that. Just to let you know, they do have a 2-show day today, so they might be in a bit of a rush to get out, but they're always super nice and they'll be happy to take photos and sign autographs and stuff.
This stage play was based on an original movie called Backbeat, which is when I first saw the story, and of course we've all read about the story. And as far as its accuracy, I think it's been fairly well documented. So now, as much as this was kind of an unknown story, it's now pretty much, down to every month that the Beatles were alive, it's been documented and chronicled. And this is a fascinating time because not only is it the best the Beatles ever were live as a live band, because when they got really famous, and all the girls were screaming at the mop tops, they couldn't hear themselves play, and they would play on these really crappy, they would go to in Washington, D.C., their first show in America, they used these little speakers that they used for the boxing matches, so, the guys would announce the box, that's what they played at, so it was really horrible, and they couldn't hear anything. But in Germany, when they had to play in these clubs for 6 and 7 hours at a time, they got to be amazing rock bands. So a lot of people say the Beatles were the best in 1961 and 1962 as far as a live band goes. So that's a very interesting aspect of the band. And it's also really cool to realize while you're watching this play that it's kind of an unknown story starting for the biggest guys, if not the biggest guys in the history of entertainment. So while you're watching John Lennon, with a flannel shirt on and his underwear walking around, you say, well, that guy became John Lennon. Look at him here. So it's really interesting to see the origins of, not any group, but the group that became the biggest group of all time. And not only biggest rock group of all time, the biggest entertainers of all time. It's just not just rock and roll. The Beatles kind of surpassed that. So it's an interesting look into how it all happened.
Now, what's really surprising for me is that not only is there 5 original Beatles, but only 3 of them actually became the Beatles that we ended up knowing.
Yeah, Stuart Sutcliffe is, was a truly, really temporary member of the band. He was in the band because he was John Lennon's best friend at the time. And John Lennon looked up to him. I always try to figure out, why was John so enamored by this guy? And it's like having, James Dean as your best friend. You had this really cool guy as your best friend, and John wasn't nearly as cool as Stu. So that's why Stu is in the band, briefly as it was. But what you really glean from watching this show is the drummer, Pete Best, who was, with them from the beginning of these live shows in Germany, how good he was and how popular he was. He was the most popular Beatle. He was more popular than John or Paul or George. He got, all the girls loved this guy, and he was a great musician. He was a jazz musician. He was a great drummer, and probably at that point as good a musician as was in the Beatles. So when you watch the story, you're kind of keying in on Astrid and Stu and the Beatles, but like my wife said after she saw it, God, I felt so bad for Pete Best because, at the time they let him go, they didn't know they were going to be the biggest band in the world. So the irony is just, it's so tough for this, And then to learn that none of the Beatles ever spoke to Pete Best after the firing has always been a mind blower for me. That all these years had gone by, and they were close with this guy. They were buddies. They were sleeping in the same, beds practically. And for this guy to get fired and then the Beatles to become the Beatles, and I don't think it says really anything about them as people, but it's just interesting that no one ever spoke to this guy since 1962.